Welcome to the Family First Retirement Podcast with George Politarhos. For more information, visit betrayawealth.com. Now, let's get to the show.
So, George, we've heard the commercials of people saying, I hate annuities. And if you agree, you may be in the minority because, George, last year, over $460 billion, with a B, $460 billion worth of annuities were sold, setting yet another record. So have you seen people come in dead set against them? We've gotten phone calls from this show before of adults who say, hey, George, I want to sit down. Let's put a plan together. I'm worried about income and retirement. But, George, if you even mention the word annuities, I'm walking out of your office. Like, have you had those conversations only for people to kind of start rethinking the power of an annuity?
I have, and I find it shocking because it's that misinformation that goes out there is really what it comes to, because this is not your father's annuity. Mm-hmm. This is not your father's Buick. The annuities have changed in the last 25 years. Hey, Mark, have you ever heard of a company named BlackRock or Vanguard?
I have. I have an account with Vanguard, as a matter of fact. Yeah.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. How about Warren Buffett? Do you know who Warren Buffett is?
I've heard that name once or twice before, yes.
Once or twice,
He's pretty good at what he does. He is.
He's probably the greatest investor in U.S. history, other than people that work for Congress and Senate. So let's take them out of the mix.
There's a little more.
But what do they have in common? They have a huge portion of their portfolios in annuities for the safety, for the guarantees to keep things going straight. BlackRock and Vanguard have a huge section to help fund their pensions and keep their portfolios stable. Warren Buffett has moved so much money into annuities for the stability, the safety. Does that mean he doesn't have risk? Of course not. He has to have risk. But that's what annuities come in. They fit a cornerstone that can help people so many times. The number of people say, listen, I don't want to hear about annuities. I don't like annuities. It's terrible. I said, I get it. So let's talk about it. You don't have a pension. How about, you have money put away in the savings, you think that's going to be your pension money. But how about if we've all heard the 4% rule in life, Mark?
Yep.
You take 4% out of your retirement money that should, keyword is should, last the rest of your lifetime. That's great. But how about if we could sit there and have an instrument that is going to give you a guaranteed income stream for the rest of your life, a higher number, and that you and your spouse, if it's set up the right way, will never run out of money. Is that intriguing? Is that interesting? Oh, my gosh. Yes, it is, George. Guess what we're going to use? We're going to use an annuity to give you the guarantees. We don't use that word a lot, do we, Mark?
Nope.
Guarantees is a bad word in our language, but that can give you a guaranteed lifetime income that you'll never, ever outlive. That's an annuity. I had another lady come into the meeting, and she went to one of our dinner seminars, which we have every month. We have different dinner seminars, different locations, and she loves the aggressiveness of the market. She loves sitting there, and she loves rolling the dice, per se, being very aggressive. And she's about 65 years old. So I understand that, and we talked about that. And my answer to her was, what if we took half of your portfolio and put it someplace where we don't worry about market volatility, market risk, having it safe, secured, and insured,
okay,
and let the other half be that aggressive mode you like. And we'll get out of that instrument in really quick, fast. Every year we're going to take 10% out and put it back in there. How do you think about that? And she looks and she kind of scratched her head and said, well, how's that work? Well, she's retired, right? So she's paying a fee for her managed funds, isn't she? Probably. Say 1.5%, 2%. So if we move half of that money into a fixed index annuity, folks, which gives you the safety, the security, the insurance of that market, we did a couple things. We cut the cost of your managed funds in half. So instead of paying 1%, you're now paying 0.5%. B, one of the advantages to working, and you're working today and you have a 401k, a thrift savings plan, or a 403b, and the market's down. You're upset about that. You see your 401k go down in value, but you're kind of happy about it because you're buying in the stock still. You're still contributing, and you have cost averaging. Right. So it's costing less money per share. Well, by taking this, we're cost averaging as we go through time. And then we're also reducing the risk for her so she can afford to be more aggressive, more risky with her investments. She loved it. She did $1 million into that because a fixed index annuity fits really well. How about this way? And if you give us a call, 302-330-2166, we can talk about it. I have people out there that say, I have this money that I am never going to use, George. Mm-hmm. This money is going to be for my children, my grandchildren, my church, my synagogue. It's legacy money. So what if I told you I have a product right now for legacy that will give you a bonus of 52%?
Go on.
I put $100,000 in. It goes to $152,000 the next day. So when I die, my children, my church, my grandchildren, my synagogue gets that guaranteed lifetime. You're raising your hand.
Question.
Because that's what those things should be done.
Yep.
That's an annuity. It's funny. It's something is not what you were taught it was. You thought it was. And when you speak to a professional, we'll explain the difference between what it was, what you thought it was, and what it actually is.
But what is the catch? Is there a catch there? Because that almost sounds, we're always taught, and we talk about it all the time here on Family First Retirement with George Politarhos. If you hear something that sounds too good to be true, trust and verify.
Absolutely.
What's the catch?
Well, the biggest thing against annuities was, the biggest downside of annuities were, I can't get my money. I'm stuck. Well, it's really not stuck. I get to pull 10% of that money out at any time I need it after the first anniversary date. Because what we talking about, that 4% rule? Mm-hmm. You pull 4% out of that account, lasts forever. Are you ever going to use more than 10%? Probably not. But if you need to, you have up to 10%. What about, if I die, I lose the benefit of my money. My money doesn't go to, my family. The insurance company takes the money. Well, that's a blatant lie.
Yeah.
Insurance company doesn't take the money. It goes to your beneficiaries. As a matter of fact, people have wills and trusts, right? It's important to have a will and trust, folks. You need to be protected. The beneficiaries for annuities supersede your will and trust. Think about that. It goes to who I want to, when I want to, and how I want to. No probate, nothing. It's directly to our children, grandchildren, church, or synagogues. The annuity things that you think are bad are there to save place. The legacy plan is off the chart. That's unbelievable. And I want to make sure that my wife or my kids get the maximum. I don't need that money. Mm-hmm. That's our money in a bucket we're never going to touch. If I need it, I can pull 10% out, no big deal. But it's really for the lifetime and the legacy plan that we're trying to place. What we're trying to say, folks, is that annuities have different aspects, different tools, and different ways to make them work for you. Call me at 302-330-2166, and let's see which one of these works best for you. You're worried about long-term care. Maybe you don't qualify for a long-term care plan. A lot of annuities have a long-term care inclusion, which helps offset some of those costs. It's the time that you need to get your head out of the sand and stop listening to the noise.
Yep.
And get the facts so you understand what you're working with. And if it doesn't fit your plan, that's great. But guess what? You know the truth now, and you know the facts. Call me at 302-330-2166. Let me and my team help you be in the right place. Remember, this is about education, information, and knowledge so you can make the right choice about your retirement planning.
So let's talk to those adults who are either just getting started and looking for their first financial advisor, or maybe those that are looking for that second opinion service. What are some of the biggest red flags, George, that suggest that that advisor might not be the right long-term fit?
I think the biggest thing is, I was always taught you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. Mm-hmm. You need to listen twice as much as you talk. And that's the same thing with an advisor. He should be listening to what your wants are, what your desires are, what your retirement plans look like. Too many times in my experience, people have come in and said, I've talked to Dawn, and I told her I want to do this. And she kind of just sits there and says, okay, but I think we're going to do this.
Uh-huh.
It's really, my question is it your money or her money? Is she worried about your retirement or her retirement? Is she worried about what you want are, how you sleep at night, or what she wants to do and how she wants to do with her business? Because at the end of the day, folks, this is your money, your choice, and your decisions. Now, we sit down with our clients, Mark, and we go through that because I need to know what you want to do. I'm doing all the talking right now, folks, right? Mark and I are doing all the talking.
Yep.
You're in the car at home listening. When you come into the office at 501 Silverside Road in Wilmington here, it's your turn to talk because I need to know what your wants are, what we're trying to go through, what the objectives are, how we want to plan. I'll put a plan together, but ultimately it'll be your decision. I think that's important. You know, the last perfect person, Mark, died over 2,000 years ago for our sins.
That's right.
None of us are, but if you sit there and say, I want this, and I show you a plan, and you say, George, I like it, but it's not what I want to do, guess what we're going to do, Mark? We're going to do what you want.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, I want you to be at ease. I think one of the things that's so important is that we have the mentality that when you come in here, you're going to hear from me and my team a minimum 6 to 8 times a year. And people say, why you want to talk to me so much if the annuity, fixed index annuity, it's kind of like I have a year, I can't do anything, right? I can't change investments. Yeah, but I think it's important to have that touchy feeling, knowing where we're going, peace of mind. Managed funds, we're going to talk to you a minimum every quarter. And it's about making sure you understand what we're doing, how we're going forward, and market changes. That's other than the client events we do every quarter.
Yep.
The special events we have at the office, Christmas parties, golf outings, baseball games. It's more than just business when you work with Betrayal Wealth. It's about family. You need to be comfortable. You need to be at ease. And when you have a question, I love face-to-face, being close, touchy-feely mentality. We have an open door policy here at the office in 501. You come here anytime you want to walk in. We'll sit down, talk, and make sure you're at ease because it's your money. It's your retirement. It truly is.
You've said that before,
though.
Have
a good cup of coffee.
You've had family members, and we don't call them clients. We call them family members.
No.
That literally will just, they don't need anything. They're retired. They're pretty happy, but they're out running errands. Let's see what George is up to. Come and sit on the couch and just hang out and talk to the team.
And that's the way it's supposed to be. Now, there'll be times you come in, you just want to come in and have a talk about, did you see the Phillies play last night, how great they did? And it'll be like, I got it, but right now I'm helping other family members too.
I mean, that's not a conversation you're going to be having.
Right. Are you done, Mark? Should we talk about the Philly event we had last week?
Yes, as a matter of fact. There are some good aspects to the Phillies organization right now. And you had the opportunity to be. Let me give out that number real quick. We're kind of all over the place. I mentioned the word Phillies.
Sorry, folks.
No, don't apologize.
My ADD's kicking in right now. Ooh, butterfly.
But this is George, though. This is 100% George Politarhos. 302-330-2166. This is exactly what we mean. When you work with George and the team, you can come in and just have a conversation about life. What's going on with you, the kids, the grandkids, your spouse, vacations, sports. Big Phillies fan, big Eagles fan. You got the chance to go hang out in the clubhouse with the Phillies not too long ago. What was going on with that?
We were a co-sponsor of the Aranola fundraiser. It's for veteran services, working with the Red, White, and Blue organization. So we had a chance to go behind the scenes, meet the Phillies privately, the whole team. I was in the dugout, the batting cage on the field, and meet some really interesting and truly kind men of the Phillies organization and their families. Aaron Nolan and I had a nice conversation, which we'll have aired in a couple of weeks for you. It's really funny. I am not a baseball. I like baseball. I can watch in dribs and drabs. I had a chance to interview Rob Thompson, who was the manager of the Phillies. And we had a great conversation. And one of the things I asked him, I said, we're starting out a little slow this year. I said, but that's a good thing, isn't it? Because I'd rather start off slow and then strong than start off strong and then slow. He says, yeah, we're coming around. Things are going to turn around. And then a week later, he gets fired. So I don't know what in the world I said or what he said. But he was a fantastic man. And if you watch Comcast, folks, you'll see us playing Texas Hold'em with Rob Thompson and I. So it was pretty interesting.
That's
good
fun.
Charity event, and let's go fighting.
I saw the picture of you and Brandon Marsh hanging out together, too, all dressed up.
I got to be honest with you, folks. The whole team of the Phillies was outstanding.
Good.
The personalities, the interaction, the kindness, the generosity, the everything was great. So we're really happy to be part of that organization.
Good. Their play off the field, unbelievable. Play on the field, a little work to be done this year. Okay. A lot of baseball.
1
left.
out of 2 ain't bad.
A lot of baseball left. 302-330-2166. Again, 302-330-2166. Speaking of playing on the field, before we get out of here today, we're going to tell you about the next incredible event from the team at the Betrayal Wealth Group and how you can get involved. We'll get to that here in just a couple of minutes. I want to go back to our conversation about those that are seeking either a second opinion or looking for the right fit for their finances, for their retirement strategies. And what do you find is the most common question that you get asked from either that first-time meeting or that second opinion meeting? What do people ask you the most?
What's your thoughts about the market, how it's going to survive? You know what? The market is an ebb and flow. We are a 16-year bull market right now. Do I think people should be all in the market aggressive at those ages of 58 to 70? Absolutely not. You need to have a mix. You need to have diversification. And that starts with one part of that is having an indexed annuity for your safety feature, having the right understanding about how your plan currently works, operates. And really, I think the other part about this is understanding the fees and costs that a lot of people are paying that they don't know what they're paying, Mark, because it's written in a different language, it seems.
Let me go back to those fees for a second here. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but do you think those are written by companies to quietly chip away at retirement portfolios? Hey, we're going to charge you this, this, and this. It's going to be obvious, but it's not going to be that obvious. It's going to be buried down at the fine print. How does that work?
You know, earlier, Mark, you said that you have a Vanguard account.
I do.
Right? We talked about BlackRock and Vanguard, and you have a Vanguard account. And let's say with your Vanguard account, you're with one of their portfolios, and you made 11% last year. Mm-hmm. You think Vanguard made 11%?
No.
They have 5,000 people working up there in Malvern. They have to pay all that. They've hit electric. That portfolio is making 30%. And the fees and the dollars. Mm-hmm. And my mother, God bless her soul, would always say to us, beam by beam, the pot slowly fills.
Yeah.
So all these little charges, all these little fees add up. And give you an example. We have people, we talked about annuities earlier, about the bad annuities, right? People have that bad annuities. And there's one annuity out there that I refuse to work with, we don't do, and it's called a variable annuity. Variable annuity. It's being invested in the market. You can go up in value, you can go down in value. You're at the risk of the market, just like if you're in the stock market with money at Charles Schwab or Vanguard.
Okay.
The problem is the fees are between 3 and 7.5%, and people don't understand or read it. We put it through a program. It breaks down the cost for you so you know what your fees are. Our fees for managed funds are 1%. A fixed index annuity that we work with, the annuities I work with have no fees, no charges. I get paid a commission, full disclosure, right? But you don't pay a cent. There's never a down market. And that's what I think people have to understand. We had these people I talked a couple weeks about who just moved here from New York. They thought their advisor was doing the right thing for them. And when they asked the question of her about fees, don't worry about it. There's no fees. Don't worry about it. We took her portfolio, ran it through. The fees are just shy of 2% is what she's paying in fees. I don't know. I was always told if you're not scared of something, tell me the truth. You know, did you ever see a politician, Mark, and you ask him a question, and you said, what's today? And he says, the time of the day is, and everything except what is today.
Right.
What are they hiding? Why are they, what's that called, deflecting from?
Well, the time is the time for you to get out and make change. With your help, we can make sure we can ensure democracy. It doesn't matter what time it is. It doesn't matter where the sun is. The point is I'm here to make sure that your future is bright. Sir, I just asked you for the time.
What day are you going for running for Congress? But that's the same thing when you speak to your advisor, and they won't tell you the things. They won't give you the numbers. What are you being deceptive about, in my opinion? What are you deflecting from? When you come to Betrayal Wealth, it's full disclosure. Mm-hmm. When you become part of my family, and if it's just with the small, and I say this word, a taste of your portfolio, let's start with this one thing, a little bit. to see how you like it.
Okay, that's a bit of a misconception too. Some people think that they need to come to you and turn over their entire portfolio, every aspect of their retirement savings.
No, absolutely not. I don't want you to do that, folks. I want you to come in and taste it and see how we do our business. And then once you see how we run our business, how you're doing, how we treat you, you'll then want to give us everything else to go with it.
Okay.
But to sit there and say it's either all or none is an absolute. Okay. I think I've told this story before. I'm going to tell it again.
Let's go.
When we moved into our house, we live in North Wilmington. We had Alex, who was 4 years old at the time. Leslie was pregnant with Jared. And that first winter, he was born in August. So that first winter comes in. This house is older than Leslie and I are.
Okay.
And we had the single pane windows on the house.
Mm-hmm.
So that winter was a bad winter. The windows shook all winter. I had plastic inside the windows. It was, it was what it was.
Yeah.
So when the spring came, I called a window company to come and give us prices for windows. I knew it was expensive, but I figured, let's say maybe we'll do a couple windows at a time. And the salesman came to my house. And I use the word salesman. He comes in the house. He walks in and says, "Oh, my God, what a beautiful home you have. Oh, my God, what beautiful children. My kids are ugly. I know that. Why are you going to tell me how beautiful they are?" He sits down and says, "Can I use your home phone to call my boss, let him know I got here safely?" All this salesman mentality. This is pre-cell phones.
Yeah.
So we have 36 windows in our house, Mark. A lot of windows. He goes around, he starts measuring and taping, costing and doing all this stuff. He sits down at the table with us, Leslie and I, and he goes, "Okay, folks, so for these 36 windows, it's going to be $500 a window." This is 1998. So, okay. So it's a lot of money. It's whatever it was,
sure,
$20,000. I said, my wife and I, Leslie, are going to talk about this today because we don't do anything that's on a rash, on the impulse. And I'll get back to you 2-3 days. Give me a chance, give you a call back, and we'll discuss it. And with this, the man slams his hand on the table and says, "I can't promise you that price tomorrow if you don't sign right now."
Red flag.
What are you trying? You push it. The answer, Leslie said, my wife's a beast. I love her. She goes, "Thank you so much for coming. Please exit. We'll talk to you another time."
Yep.
But that's that mentality. If an advisor says you got to give me all the money today for me to start working with you,
red flag.
Why? Let's start with this little bit. Let's start with that $100,000. Let's start with that $200,000. Let's see how we do. Tell me what you think. See if we do what we said we're going to do. See if you feel the way I told you you're going to feel. And then we can always go more then.
Yep.
But I just truly believe that if you tell me I have to do something, good Lord, it's a bad day.
Makes me want to do it less, as a matter of fact.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I do not do well being told what to do. Yep. So when you call me at 302-330-2166, that's how I'm going to treat you. I'm not going to slam my hand and say it's either all or none right now. Get out the door, because that's not how I want to be treated.
Amen.
At the end of the day, I treat you the way I expect to be treated by other people.
Insurance and annuities offered through George Politarhos, Delaware Insurance License Number 1373121. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties.